The worst thing about Power Rangers.
The worst thing about Power Rangers is the misunderstanding about what it is.
Oh my! Can I ding this, please? Can
Ding
I
it,
ding
baby.
this, please?
It's Morphin time!
What's going on, everyone? It's your boys back again with another episode of Power Rangers Academia. And today is a very, very special episode because for the first time in, I would say, a pretty long time. I mean, it's probably been since what, like before I even started this channel with you guys that we had Zordon on and all that. But this is way before, like I said, right? We have an amazing, talented individual that has had so much influence that y'all don't even realize. But for some that do, you are among the good ones that know. But if you don't, that's okay too, because we are gonna put you on. Okay, this person has served as a producer, writer, director, actor, showrunner for many Power Rangers series, such as your favorite's favorite, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Power Rangers Zeo, Power Rangers Turbo, Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder. He's also worked on series such as VR Troopers, DreamWorks Dragons, Johnny Tsunami, Princess Protection Program, and many more. Guys, give it up for Douglas J. Sloan. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, boys. Glad to be here. Glad to see you all, the bright, shiny faces.
Yes, yes.
It's going to be fun.
This is exciting.
We're going to get into it.
Yeah, no, honestly, like this is the show you want to be on, not to, knock on, anyone else's shows, but,
No,
we keep it very real here. We have pride in that.
Ground zero PR. I'm in.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Honestly, like even from the jump, like I kind of just threw out the request to do the interview. Like I just threw it out there, and then, the fact that you were able to do it made me so happy.
I was
we're here now.
stoked, man. I'm super, super excited. This is fun, man.
So of course, right? There's you are like our first actual guest, like I mentioned at the start, in a very, very, very long time.
Wow.
Okay, so
Honored.
yes, and the honor is shared. It's mutual. Okay,
Yes.
like
Awesome.
we could not be any more thankful, right? So we kind of had a little warm up, just tinkering with settings and stuff, just getting it ready, behind the scenes, pulling the curtain back a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Stuff that we will not talk about now.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, you got to be one of us to hear the exclusives, right?
A little bit of upload on the second book.
Oh yeah. But we did want to start with like a few icebreakers, if you will, just to get like more of the Power Ranger ball rolling, if you will, if that's cool with you.
Totally, I'm in.
Okay, so do your best. No pressure, obviously, but if you pretend like Lord Zed, let's just be corny, right? Let's just be corny for a second. Pretend Lord Zed had his Z staff up to your head. Just answer the question like as soon as you can. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Favorite season you worked on?
Dino Thunder.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Okay. Let's go. Okay.
I respect it.
Favorite season you didn't work on?
Space, probably. Probably in space.
That's fine.
Probably.
That's fine.
I
We love space.
fucking hate to admit it,
Yeah.
but
That would be fun to talk about.
yeah. What are you gonna do? I mean, I got it. But a lot of that is we'll talk about.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Excellent. All right. That's the meat and bones of the rest of this episode. All right. Just a few more. Right.
All right.
Is Power Rangers today good or bad?
You gotta? What do you mean? Are the episodes that come out today, or because it's over for episodes? What do you?
Yeah. You know what? So here. So I'll make it easier for you. So comparing how the last several seasons that were airing. Yeah. Just
Got it.
yeah.
Okay. I think that after Kalish left, Bruce Kalish, it went downhill, and it just didn't. It didn't, because that was when it sort of went back to the days of wearing the same shit every week, all the time and all that stuff, which I was never a fan of. But I think after Bruce left, and he followed me and Ann, and he left, and then it kind of fell apart, and they lost Jackie Marchand, which was huge. I mean, she could have kept that thing. They should have made her EP, is what they should have done. And they didn't, which was, I think, a stupid thing. But there was a strike, and there was all that stuff, and there was a scab who came in and ran the show, which is messed up. But that's when I think it went bad.
Okay, fair. That's a great answer, by the way. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, so just 2 more, and then we'll get to the rest of this, right? All right.
Go for it.
The worst thing about Power Rangers.
The worst thing about Power Rangers is the misunderstanding about what it is.
Oh my! Can I ding this, please?
Ding it, baby.
This, please?
Ding it.
God,
ding it now.
Someone who understands. All right.
Yeah, it's so disheartening for me to even talk about it sometimes, because people think it's an animated show. They don't know what it is. They don't know that there were actual actors. They don't know what went in. They don't know anything because they've never bothered to eat. I mean, this show is a cultural icon.
It is.
It's going to be around, it's historic, and people just don't understand it for what it is, or they don't get it. And that bums me out,
Yeah.
Same. Definitely. Yeah. I can definitely relate as somebody all of us have seen the series and we've seen its highs, and people don't realize what Power Rangers was and can be.
Oh my God.
At its best.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain that to people. It's I'm sure you could ask our girlfriends, I'm sure the conversations happen where you try to sell it and just be like, look, I'm telling you, this was crazy. This was really good, or this is why we like it. And that explanation always is a challenge, but it's also it opens eyes sometimes. You might get that wow, I didn't know that that's what this was. And that's because you didn't know that there was a whole space opera playing out for 7-year-olds in 1990s.
Yeah. We were eating good.
It was insane. I mean, and just the mere fact that it exploded, it went viral. As it wasn't viral. Yeah. There was no viral back then. It was viral before viral. But it was viral before viral. I mean, that traffic jam on the 101 freeway in LA to get to Universal Studios to see those kids was real. I mean, that was 10 miles of cars backed up to get into a show that nobody thought anyone would give a crap about.
Wow. So what a time.
It was and for me, being right in the middle of it, I mean, I was Jason's acting coach. That's how I started on the show. I was Jason Frank's acting coach, and we were really good friends. And when I actually started working on the show, I didn't think about it,
Right.
I didn't even register that this thing was so bloody huge. But then you look back and you think billions and billions of dollars were made from that show, and it lasted for 30 years. I mean, come on, what lasts for 30 years? Tell me a show that went nonstop. The Simpsons.
Those
especially that, without stopping. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is wrestling, but that's,
but The Simpsons is the only other show that, and the only reason Power Rangers lasted so long was because they changed the cast every year. You never had to rely on someone not getting old and not, and aging out.
Yeah.
It's true.
I mean, anyway.
That is true. Yeah. All right. So to flip that, what's the best thing about Power Rangers?
Oh man. Wish fulfillment, man. It's for kids, in my career on Power Rangers, which spanned probably, 15 years or so, between doing Troopers and then doing Ninja Storm, stuff like that. I saw kids come to the set, meet Tommy, meet, their idols, and it was the best thing that ever happened to them. It was these people, these guys, and Jason was magnificent at dealing with his fans. Every fan he met, he spent time with, and he was really good to. And when I went back to the show, my godson at the time, Hunter, was 5 years old, and he was a Power Ranger fanatic, And so when it came time to name, Blake and Hunter, Hunter was my godson, and Blake was his best friend.
That's fire.
So they were the superstars at their school, man. I mean, it was like
you set them up for success.
Yeah, I did. It was awesome. But
they were cool
like,
too.
Oh yeah, they were the coolest, right?
Thunder.
I mean, look, Jorge Vargas.
Oh yeah, he's a real one.
I had known him from Skate, that show I did Skate.
Mm-hmm.
And I called him up and I said, dude, you want to come to New Zealand for a little bit? He's like, hell yeah, I'm on my way. Let's go.
Nice.
And that was that. And those guys were awesome. Anyway, but that's another book coming soon.
Yeah.
I'm loving all the drops and the little teases.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
New Zealand was a trip, dude. It's almost as mind blowing. It's maybe more mind blowing than Saban because it was totally new and it was starting over. It was relaunching. Yeah. It was a different country that I'd never been to, and but more on that later.
Okay. All right. So the last one I have for you here. You already mentioned him a bunch of times. I'm sure we're going to continue to mention him a bunch of times because it's hard not to. I refer to this person as the soul of Power Rangers, right? So, is there anybody better than Tommy Oliver?
Dude, there really, I don't think is. I think back on all the guys I worked with, and I had the privilege and the honor of, Shuki Levy called me up and he said, Doug, you're not going to believe this kid I found. He's fucking unbelievable. He kicks and flies like Bruce Lee. And I go, well, what's he been in? And he goes, nothing. And I go, well, can he act? I don't know, but you're going to teach him. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so Jason shows up at my door and he's wearing a little tie and he's like, Mr. Sloan, how are you? I'm here to Shuki sent me to learn how to act. And, that was it. But the thing, he was so invested in doing a good job, and people think he was like a goof off and whatever, but he worked his ass off to be a good actor. Yeah. Because the first day he showed up on set, it was a scene with Bulk and Skull and Kimberly. And those are the three best actors on the show at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so he had to really go in there and ball. And he did. It was awesome.
And to his credit, like, I feel like his newness kind of helped because he was the new kid in school.
Yeah.
So it really kind of charts that path from there to literally his last performance in the Saban era versus later on. Like, it charts that visual course where you could literally see him grow as an actor, as a character,
as a person. And
it's lined up.
And we did everything, or we did, Ann and I we thought of him as our kid. I mean, he was like my kid, my little brother, whatever. So if we felt there was something that Jason wanted or needed that could help, we would make sure it got done. I mean, Eric Frank walked in our office and we were like, God, man, these guys would love working together, wouldn't they? And so we figured out a way to do it.
That's awesome.
And Eric deserved it. He was really good in that. And he had been taking acting classes, but we kind of made it happen. And credit to Shuki because he was all about giving people chances and finding new actors and sometimes it went way wrong. Tway from Twyfoia comes to mind, but
I actually want to talk. We'll talk about that stuff later. But I definitely have some questions about that whole.
Oh, dude!
I had to rewatch some episodes after reading that part.
Just for reference, me and Tech, like, Gold Ranger is our favorite.
Oh, dude, he was awesome. So, Brad Hawkins was great.
Yeah, like him, but also just like the costume. So we had were very. I know I can speak for you, but it's like I know that when you got to that part, I was very fascinated about that whole build up.
Yeah,
we talk about it often on the show, just like the what ifs and the the rumors and all that.
Well,
stuff.
yeah, because what would happen is Shuki would show up with these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it would be, one day it was this girl who was a cheerleader from San Diego, and she was blonde and smoking hot, and like he wanted her to take over when Amy Jo left, and this wasn't Catherine. And so we screen tested her. She was terrible. And then, they went to Australia and they found Catherine, but then, he shows up with, Sarah Brown, who ended up being really good. And, so it was, it was hit or miss, but the Treys were, I think he saw a way to build a whole franchise around those guys. And it was like he had a huge plan in mind for those guys. The problem was that they had that Rhode Island accent and they couldn't really, it sounded really weird. And not that that's a bad accent. It just isn't, it
doesn't match like for aliens.
It was odd. It was really odd. So, and what happened was they decided between the three of them that one of them was going to be the one that spoke. So anytime you saw someone speak, it was one guy.
The same guy. Okay.
Yeah. And I remember an interview with them and he was like, yeah, man, well, we all talked about it. And I said, hey, I'll talk. And that was it.
Wow.
And I was
that almost defeats the purpose.
I would have loved being in on that conversation to see if I could get any of them to lose the accent, but it didn't happen. So then everything was shot, and we're like, man, it's going to be tough in the helmet. What are we going to do? Mm-hmm. Brad Hawkins, there he was,
I think that was the sauce that because like that moment, like he makes that moment in the English version obviously like memorable. Like he has such a powerful voice, which is why like and you alluded to it in the book, but it's like that theory that they wanted Brad Hawkins from VR Troopers to be a part of Power Rangers, because again, like this is after they tried to do the Masked Rider crossover, so it's like it would have been believable to try to make Masked Rider and VR Troopers and Power Rangers in the same universe, and of course we have it now in the comics, but
but
it was like one of those fan theories that built up over years of being in the fandom and stuff. But
and it's funny because none of it was planned. They never actually had a concrete plan to do anything. Yeah. What would happen is Shuki and Shell would go away for the weekend and write 4 episodes, and they'd show up on Monday like, oh, this is what we're doing. And so that was the Masked Rider crossover with Power Rangers, where they all stood around talking for 4 hours about the world coming to an end. And it was like,
that was such a bizarre, unique
thing. It was
thing.
Weird, right?
Because when you rewatch those episodes, they don't feel like like special episodes that exist outside the show.
They don't feel like Rangers.
The music in the show was like the stock music from like, because I know they used songs that were in Digimon that had the show.
Yeah,
like there's certain songs in there that were part of that, and obviously like now you get. But it was also kind of interesting because you got backstory for Alpha, and
it was different.
I was a kid, so I loved all of it. Like I know all of it didn't pan out, but I was that kid who was like anything that was in that ilk.
Yeah, man.
So Masked Rider, Big Bad Beetleborgs, VR Troopers. I watched all of it.
Yeah, so, Beetleborgs. I thought Beetleborgs was decent. Bob Hughes did Beetleborgs. He was the guy who did Troopers, and I directed a few Beetleborgs, and Jim Mathers shot it, the guy who shot VR Troopers. So that was I thought, pretty good show. Masked Rider was a bit odd to me.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Nothing was weirder than seeing this monster truck show up one day. Like literally so high, I couldn't have gotten into it, and seen Verb Troyer get out of it.
Wow.
Because he was driving it and he was playing Furbus. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, man. It was like, what? Whoa, dude.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I got a question about Masked Rider. I was kind of off the cuff. So like something I always wondered, especially like when you're in the book talking about Cybertron and stuff like that. So I know that Kamen Rider was like the most popular in Japan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did you guys just not have the rights for it at that time? But like, why did they choose Cybertron over just having? I know, like, it didn't have to happen.
Yeah, it's weird.
JDF being like Kamen Rider instead. Like I feel like that would have been acceptable. Like obviously we would have loved to see him as Tommy the whole time, but like if he was like Kamen Rider and jumped that off, that kind of would have been crazy. I think we would.
That would have been very cool. It would have been a much older show, because as it was, Masked Rider was a very young show. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, with the family and the Furbus and all that stuff. Tommy as Masked Rider would have been awesome, but it would have been a different show. It would have been super different. And I think that, they just sort of went through them in the order that they got them. And I don't know if they had Masked Rider at the time, but Troopers was tough because the toys weren't really setting up very well. So they had to combine those two shows to even get the thing to work. So they had enough toys to produce. I mean, Spielbahn, had to be part of VR Troopers, but you could never see them in the same scene.
Yeah, and I never noticed that as a kid, but when you said it in the book, I thought about it, and I was like, because the last time I tried to rewatch VR Troopers, I noticed that the main character, like Brad Hawkins' character, was always kind of like separate from the other two when they were fighting.
Yeah, always.
And I like, as a kid, obviously, I never noticed it, but
but how do you do that for 80?
How did that split?
Yeah, how do you do that for 80 episodes, man? I mean, that was like they never fought together. I mean, it was like that's kind of why they did the battle grid part of it. And then, they did the fights with the Scugs. It was the battle grid. That was the first time we got Sakamoto-san and his guys from Japan. Those were the battle grid guys, and they came in and crushed it, dude.
Actually, so I know you didn't mention this, but was Superhuman Samurai also part of this whole thing?
Oh, the Cyber Squad.
No.
Because I know that's Ultraman. But like I always kind of saw them in the same ilk, but it also seemed like it was very separate from everything that was going on at Saban.
Well, it had nothing. It wasn't Saban. I don't really remember.
Yeah, I don't even remember
who produced it. I don't know if it was because a friend of mine is a guy named Tommy Lynch.
Maybe it was Bandai. Or something.
And Tommy is a producer, like the biggest kid producer. He did the Jersey and he did
I remember that
Disney shows. But Tommy, it might have been Tommy or it might have been Andy Hayward from Deke.
It was Deke. Yeah, Deke.
Was it Deke?
Yep.
Okay. Well, here's a little something. Andy and Chaim were best friends. Andy Hayward, the guy who runs Deke. And I think Andy felt when Chaim gave the music to Deke for all those shows, he gave him all this music for free.
Wow.
For free. Here you go. The only thing I want to keep is the publishing rights. Ding, 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 ding. And if you know about publishing, you know that that's hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of however many years. So Andy got all this free music, but he didn't get the publishing. And when he realized what had happened, him and Chaim kind of had a falling out, I think.
Makes sense.
I don't know for sure. But when Power Rangers came out, Deke jumped on it and did that other show. And they did a better looking show, but it wasn't Power Rangers. It didn't have the charm. It didn't have the what Power Rangers had. And I think Andy was just trying to stick it to Chaim, or he was trying to kind of coattail, dovetail on the success of Power Rangers, which why not? Of course.
Yeah.
And Andy's a freaking genius. He's, he did Inspector Gadget. He did all, and I'm actually indirectly working with him now on a new thing, but I can't talk about it because I'm under a non-disclosure.
NDA.
Yeah, man. But I'll tell you what, Andy Hayward's one of the, him and Chaim are the two probably smartest dudes out there in that orbit. Those guys both crushed it. They both made their millions and millions, and equally as brilliant. Chaim was a little more ruthless and a little more scorched earth, but what are you gonna do? That's Chaim.
Yeah. Well, wow. I mean, what a start. I mean, talk about like a warm up. I feel like we're just like chilling. You know what I'm saying?
Going, baby.
Just knowledge dropping. But hey,
I love it.
This is how we roll. We don't want to be too formal and stuff like that because we feel like like with our channel, the best way to teach, if we're gonna go with the theme of the channel name, is to literally just speak however makes sense, and just to be very real and blunt with it, you know. So that's like kind of what we do. But let's talk more about what brought us all here right now: Morphers, Monsters, and Mayhem. Okay.
Yes.
So this is right side up, right there. There it is.
Yeah,
So
man.
Tech got the hardcover, all right, and
I got the soft cover.
You got the.
I have the soft cover as well in the back.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to listened to you do the whole book. So
my God,
I heard that entire
amazing.
audio version. It was a very, very fun listen. I will say.
I'm so glad.
And I'll give you another compliment. It was positively distracting because like I would have it, you know, I was listening and then I had my Google Docs sheet over here just taking notes for jotting down like whatever I'd want to ask you for this episode when we got around to it. And like, let's say I was like, you know, I'm unemployed right now, so I'm trying to like apply to a bunch of different jobs and stuff. And
what do you do?
Oh, well, video editing, content creation, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
I have like experience in radio and all that.
All right, you'll get it. It'll come. It'll come.
Yeah.
Man, being unemployed, I've been there.
Yeah. Not gonna hold my breath, but you know,
always comes around, man.
Yeah.
It always comes around.
We're trying. So
anyway,
so while I'm doing all that, I'm listening to you at the same time, and I'm just like, man, why am I applying to anything right now? Like, I need to just fully lock in because this dude is so entertaining.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
that is hilarious, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate that, because if I'm honest, you know, you when you meet the fans or you know, guys like you who are more curators of the legend, you know what I'm saying? It's more than fans. But when you meet people on Twitter, for example, you say one wrong thing, you make one wrong move, and you know it can basically destroy everything you've worked for. And you know, I recently had an issue on Twitter with AI. You know, I hired a company to do a couple ads for me, and they were done with AI, and everything went flipping bonkers. I mean, it was like people were, you know, threatening me and crap like that. And it's like, you know, don't take it so seriously, guys. It's not, we're here to enjoy this amazing thing that we're a part of. We're not here to bash each other, and we're here to teach, like you said. I mean, the way to learn and the way to enjoy this show and this franchise is to talk to people who have watched it when they were kids, who have been around it, who understand it. You know, I mean, most people don't even understand it, like how it got here, why it's here, how it was put together. You know, it's a funny thing, man.
Yeah.
So like what motivated you to finally get around to saying like, you know what, I'm gonna write my story on the time on Power Rangers? Like what sparked this?
It was interesting because I would tell people stories when they heard that I was on Power Rangers. Like a couple of the stories that really people thought were hilarious was the monkey,
that was crazy.
Yeah, that was like I mean I can feel standing outside of that restaurant, Chaim yelling at me about, you know, what the fuck is with these fucking monkeys, man? They don't do anything. They just sit there. And I'm like, dude, that they don't do anything. What do you mean they don't do anything? I could tell them what to do. They throw shit at each other, they throw shit at the Rangers, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Chaim, you don't understand. They're non-trained monkeys. They're not professional chimps. Yeah. They are like the bottom of the barrel chimps that were left over in the corner of the pen at the animal chimp, you know, the movie animal place. And they didn't want to pay, you know, I mean, I think it was all, you know who, but, you know, they wouldn't pay for real chimps that would do stuff. So, you know, it all got into a big thing. But that story always gets a laugh. The other story that always gets a laugh is a story that I heard is the little person who got taken by the orangutan.
Yeah, that I was about to bring up
a tree. And I think
crazy.
I think that was Worth Keeter who told me that. But that story, I tell people and I'm like, you will not believe this, but I know it's true because Worth Keeter's, he's a right on dude, but I would tell people those stories and about High and about getting fired and about, all that crazy crap that went on. And people would just be like, God, dude, you have got to put this in a book. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know what? I will do that. I'll put it in a book. I'll put together with the New Zealand stuff and it'll be funny. So I sat down and I started writing and I was writing and I'm at about page 400 and I'm not even done with Saban years. And I'm thinking to myself, damn. And I call my sister because my sister is the one who is kind of my producer and my confidant, and the one who does all this stuff with me. And I said, dude, I'm almost at 500 pages and I'm not even done with Saban. And she goes, well, you better start cutting then, right? And I'm like, yeah, but I can't get New Zealand in here. She goes, well, we'll just do a book 2. And so that's kind of how that started. And the book 3 is going to be the Dragons book.
Damn. Exclusive.
And the Dragons book is even more treacherous than Beezy and Little Beezy.
Oof.
Because, it was like mind blowing what happened to us, me and my partner Art, at DreamWorks. We'll talk about that at a certain point, but crazy crap happens in the entertainment industry, and people are nasty, horrible creatures, and they will just F you over at the drop of a hat. And I can name, 3 or 4 people that I've met over the years who I know for a fact would not screw me over.
Yeah.
3 or 4, maybe.
You can add 3 more to your list right now.
Yeah, I got 3 more now. I got 6 people.
Let's go.
But like Anne would never screw me over. Jackie would never screw me over. Yeah. I know that. Paul Rosenthal is a guy who and then Scott Page Pactor, rest his soul. He was one of I don't know if you guys ever met him or talked to him or anything, but he was the ADR producer and did a lot of voices. And he was one of the most amazing dudes ever on that show. He was kind of the heartbeat of the fight scenes and stuff like that. But he had, fought cancer for 8 years and finally succumbed. But, that's 4 people that I know I could trust if I had to, because everyone else will screw you over without even a heartbeat. It's a bummer, but you just got to go into it with open eyes and know what's out there and know what you got to do to keep your nose clean. And it's like, it's like going through a freaking, what do they call that?
Obstacle course.
Yeah, it's an obstacle course. It's like a medieval torture course, and you're gonna get whacked on your head if you don't make sure that you're not, in the way.
Right.
I just want to say that I was following, I think you originally mentioned it on Twitter, maybe a year or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so ready for it. I was checking Twitter every single time. And then when you finally announced the Kickstarter, I was so happy.
Yeah, no, he let us all know too. He put us on.
Oh, because man, I appreciate that, dude. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I don't know if you're aware, but projects that are done by people in the Power Rangers universe, we all know, they almost never happen, right? Or they end up being trash. So I'm so happy that this book came out and it was great.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad, man, because that show started my career. That franchise started my career, and there's so much that people don't know about it. And I think they know even less about Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder. Because a lot of the stories about Mighty Morphin and Zeo and all that, those are out there. Because Jason and Austin and all those guys, they were out doing shows for years. You know, and but not so much the ninja guys and the dino guys, you know.
The Disney era.
Yeah, the Disney era stuff still has a lot of mystery around it. So
that's nice.
Hopefully I'll be able to illuminate.
I will say that like you're saying, like we did know some of the stories and stuff. Like we and like when you talked about like Heim stuff, like we kind of got the idea of like who he was and like what he did. But I will say that like reading your book, I had no idea about like how much Shuki did. Like I would always see him like in the credits or like, oh yeah, he was the guy that did the music. But like he was like, man, he was doing this. He had so many different hats and like he was doing all these different things.
He was the man. I mean, there was nobody. I've never met anybody who has the creative, the on the spot creative ability to just fix something or tell a story or whatever. And his girlfriend Shell at the time, who was an actress, she was on General Hospital. She together, those two just churned stuff out, movies and all sorts of stuff. But Shuki was way more involved with the creative than Chaim was. I mean, Chaim, I think after a while, he was like so focused on world domination that he said, fuck it, Shuki, here you go, buddy. And I don't think Shuki ever really asked for it, but that's what he got.
Can I jump in really quick and I'm sure you're going to laugh at this too, but Doug, have you seen The Toys That Made Us? Like it's on Netflix, right? It's a really good show that it talks about. It's like one episode will be dedicated to like a super popular like franchise like Power Rangers. Like the Turtles. So
I have seen that. Seen that.
So I bring it up only because we're talking about Heim, and I remember when it's like right at the beginning of the episode, like they have Heim on the screen and they straight up ask him like oh, like, how does it feel? He's like, I just wanted to make a lot of money. Like he said something to that degree. And we were all laughing about it because we're like, at least he was honest.
Man.
I think he said something like, Power Rangers, it's just about selling toys. Like he said something.
Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah.
It's like, see?
Chaim will never BS you. He will always tell you the truth. And whether you like it or not, and he's, he can be crude, he can be nasty, but the encounters that I've had with him in my life one-to-one have always, except for the monkey conversation, have always been respectful. And I think he was grateful. I think he thought it was weird that, I was with Shuki's ex-wife, who they all knew really well because they had, spent the last 20 years building this business together.
Yeah.
So that was weird. But, Chaim, as I said, is maybe his brilliance is only eclipsed by the size of his balls. Because think about it, man. You see this show in Japan, you bring it back to the States, nobody wants it, and you say, screw it, I'm going to make my own pilot. And I love all these Fox executives who get on TV and say, well, we paid for a pilot and blah, blah, blah. No, you didn't. Chaim paid for the freaking pilot and he shot it, and they were so not wanting to order that show. I mean, and in truth, from what I understand, and I can't confirm or deny, but Ann, my partner, was at Fox Kids at the time, Ann Austin. And she was one of the ones who said, you got to put this on. It's going to be huge. And, they did that focus test and the dials and all that stuff. But, Chaim had the gumption to put, hundreds of thousands of dollars into a pilot to prove that it could be something, and it was. So you gotta give it to him, man. I mean, and him and Shuki had, been partners for years. Shuki wrote the music, Chaim sold the music. That's sort of what their arrangement was. But then everything just exploded. I mean, it just like, I don't think either of them could have predicted it, but it exploded, man. It became what it was.
Yeah.
It was definitely the perfect story.
And here's a funny thing. Chaim has made money on every single season of Power Rangers from season 1 to season 30 because he has a lifetime clause that he gets paid for every season.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I feel like that man would be smart enough to set that up.
Oh, dude, it's hilarious. So, I went over to Disney and there was a line item in the budget for like $1 million or whatever it was. And I went, what's that? And they go, oh, in time he gets. I'm like, what?
What a ghost.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I was looking at his net worth the other day, just like curious. It said like $3 billion.
Billion.
Yeah.
And he's 82 now.
Oh, really?
Which
wow.
I can't even believe it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He's 82. His kid, who when I was there was a 5-year-old, is running the movie company they have.
Wow.
Cool.
Which does all these movies and they're not bad movies. A lot of them they're like a couple steps up from like the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies of the era, but they're better. They're pretty good. But yeah, that business is still going and still cranking it out. And, he really, he made a mark, man. He made a mark.
Yeah, I mean,
some call it a skid mark, but he made a mark.
That's fair to say. Yeah, that's fair to say. Yeah.
I got a question that I was thinking during so like, I know you guys did the Turbo movie, right?
Mm.
So what was there? I always used to think this when I was younger. Like, why was there not a Zeo movie? I feel like Zeo movie, like if they did the intro, like the way you did Turbo, but like literally the same thing, but for Zeo, I feel like that would have been.
That would have been
especially with the scale of how season 3 ended. But I guess it also was coming off, I don't want to assume.
It was too soon.
I was going to say that.
It was kind of too soon. And everybody wrongly assumed that the kids were going to go crazy for the cars. Mm-hmm. And to me, the cars sucked. I hated the cars were dumb. And it was like, why would kids go for those cars when they got Hot Wheels and they got Matchbox and they got all the good car brands? And then Bandai's going to put out all these crappy Zord cars. I mean, it just didn't make any sense to me. And but they were convinced that was going to be a huge thing. Mm-hmm. And there were so many mistakes, and I write about it in the book. It's like, Justin being 11 years old, that was a tough one. The first script was kind of a disaster. That was another tough one. And
stuff with Larago. I knew for sure. Like as soon as I was literally on the train when you started talking about it. I was listening to you talk about the Larago part and I busted out laughing because I was like, oh
but God. I mean, like if you're watching that movie now and you look and you see that and you go, oh my God. And he's in the tree with the baby birds and he falls backwards and he's this great wizard and he's got cowardly lion feet and
the music, it was like,
man.
It was so like hokey, in a weird way. Like,
it was a bad scene. I mean, Ann and I read that script. It's in the book. It's, 100, it was 130 something pages, the original script. And then, so Shuki sent me down to work with Shell to cut it down. And I, desperately tried to, get some of that stuff changed around or taken out or whatever. But the two things that they were locked in on was Larago and Divatox. They did not want to change.
I'm assuming for Larago, were they trying to get like a plushy thing? Like
I don't know, man.
Like cute.
I don't know.
They wanted a Yoda for Power Rangers. Like I'm trying to figure out where.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection at all when I was a kid.
Yeah, I don't like. I'm just like. As an adult, I think about those.
Yeah, but he's got to talk.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got to. Yeah, I mean, like, and how the F is that little MF are going to run away from those guys with bows and arrows in the daytime? They could have done that at night, and it would have been kind of awesome. Yeah. But it was a bad.
It's interesting to think
it was everything about that was not great, and it kind of proves why. Even the first movie wasn't like the greatest thing ever, but it was a real movie and it had, gravitas, and it was, it didn't have any moments, cringeworthy really moments. Ivan Ooze was awesome.
Yeah, we talk about, we're a huge.
We love Ooze here. We're waiting.
We're counting down the days. Yeah.
When you were talking about Lothar, and like I always felt that Lothar is the closest thing in like the actual series to Ivan Ooze.
Yeah,
I always felt like he was like 1-to-1 almost.
Yeah,
like he's basically Ivan Ooze.
Yeah, why? So why did they get so pissed off?
Yeah, that's why I always thought like when people did like him, like
Lothar was hilarious, man.
Yeah.
One of the greatest,
Lothar.
one of my favorite moments ever. If you want to know this in Power Rangers, is Ninja Storm. It's at the end of a pig episode, and the pig monster gets blown to bits, and Lothar is sitting there with a big bowl of ribs. And he's eating the ribs, and he goes, "Well, the pig monster sure did serve his purpose in the end," or something like that. And I didn't think we'd get that vibe, but that's my favorite.
So
man.
good.
I
love that.
So okay, so while we're on this turbo topic, there is something that I did write down that I wanted to just piggyback off of really quick. So we're mentioning like the script, like it was like you said, this was like around chapter like 54, I think it was. Initially believed to be bad by how you were describing it from the first read through. And so my question is like, would this be a reason to why we never saw another feature-length film in the preceding years until the 2017 Power Rangers movie was made?
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, they were never going to do another Power Rangers movie with them in spandex, that's for sure. And nobody was going to pay for a theatrical studio movie because there just wasn't the toy business that there was back when they did the first movie to support it. And they learned, that the first movie didn't sell a lot of toys. It was, it really didn't. So there was never really a studio at the time that had any interest in doing a movie. And until 2017, of course, when reboots became fashionable,
right?
Like they were doing G.I. Joe, and they did SWAT, and they doing all these, every show got a reboot as a movie. And so, of course, they were going to do Power Rangers, and they're going to do it again, I guess. I guess they're doing Disney.
Take 2, 3, 4. I lost count.
Yeah. And I think it will probably be very, very good because those guys are great writers. The guys who do Percy Jackson, they're great.
Yeah.
And they'll do it.
What you felt about that.
I think it's great. I think it's going to be amazing. I think those guys are great writers. They really know how to tell story.
I watched season 1.
They're good showrunners. What's that?
I watched season 1 of Percy Jackson.
It's great. It's great. I mean, those guys are really good. And there's no footage. So it's all going to be AI/CG/ whatever. And it's going to look, it'll look like what everything looks like today, which is, super slick and super bitchin' and super cool and, all that stuff. I mean, it's just, I consulted on a show recently that was based on a Korean show called Armorsaurus. I don't know if any of you know about that.
I do. Yeah, it's what they're adapting now on Disney. That's what someone told me on Twitter, was that Armorsaurus. It like you said, it existed in Korea, and now they're basically taking that and.
Well, it's out. There's a season of it that's out.
Yeah.
And I consulted on that in the very beginning, and it's rehashing Power Rangers. It's not. The CG's a little bit is better. The dinosaurs look pretty good, but it's a toy play, and when you don't. It's funny when you don't bring in and hire a staff of actual writers, like real writers that know how to tell those stories, it doesn't work.
Right.
And that's why I think the new Power Ranger things will work, because those guys know what they're doing. And I'd work on that show in a second. That'd be awesome to do a Power Rangers that just crushes it.
Yeah.
And I think it will. because they're going to tell the individual stories of the Rangers, and they're not going to have to be so perfect. And they're, that was fine back then, but they'll have flaws, and they'll have real kid troubles, and they'll be taking drugs and banging chicks and, whatever.
On Disney,
but Disney's, Disney,
no, but
they make shit and then they put it wherever it fits. They got
that's true. That's true.
All that stuff. Now.
But it's like, but that depth is kind of why we like the comics, because it's like it doesn't forget what Power Rangers is, but it gives depth to those characters. Some of them that never really got the love that they needed to on the show.
Yeah.
But in the comics version, you see like, oh, like this character has dimension, and granted, it's like it's using the TV series as the backbone, but it does go in different directions and eventually like change a lot of things. But like, we discovered we liked a lot of these characters in a different way, in a similar but different way, through having just someone writing it with intent,
Yeah, if they re-envisioned creatively, I haven't read any of the comics. I think Amy Jo puts one out, doesn't she?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, hers was great. I really
and I'm sure it was, because she's an amazing storyteller.
Yeah,
this girl should be in Hollywood directing movies. She did a movie. I don't know if you guys saw it. She directed a movie in Martha's Vineyard, I think it was, or Massachusetts, somewhere, and it was fantastic. It was really, really good, and she should be.
When that was announced.
Yeah, she should be directing movies, but I don't know why she's not. But she knows what she's doing. She's a really good storyteller. She's a great songwriter. She's a great musician. She's like one of those people who just has that pixie dust magic and can do anything. So yeah, her comics are probably really good, and it just depends on who's doing it and what they put into it and how they, what their sort of dedication is to making it great. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
100%.
That's like the main reason why I guess I don't want to say we harp on like our love, and it's not even just nostalgia realistically, because like here on this channel, like we look at all of Power Rangers, and the thing that outweighs the more newer current seasons that have happened in the last like decade plus, I can't believe I'm saying that, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like what you worked on and like all the seasons that just kind of happened from MMPR, like for like a really long time, I would say, have a lot of really good stories and like relatable characters, and it's something that doesn't like there really is no comparison. Like we literally would watch like, what was it, Dino Fury Cosmic Fury after that, like as it was airing, and like there was parts of it that we were just like, yeah, like this is, this seems like it's teeing up for something, but then like it's like they can't help themselves, where it's like Power Rangers as a whole, like from the people that are doing it now, they want to claim like, okay, this is a show for kids and like a young audience. But then why is it that they take these like cheap, whatever, I'll just say it. Why do they take these like cheap attempts at trying to poke the nostalgia? So it's like you're trying to, you're saying this is not for us, but then you do stuff like bring Lord Zed back.
Right.
And so
or at the end of like
that's all for
Morphers,
that's all for them. That's all selfish bullshit, if you don't mind me saying.
No, go ahead.
That's them trying to create a stir and a buzz and all that stuff. But I never ever thought of who I was making the show for. Age wise.
Yeah.
I made a show that I would want to watch myself, no matter what age I was. So with Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder, I did motocross and stuff because I love motocross.
Yeah.
I did singing because I loved songwriting and I wrote all the songs. It's like, it's that I did stuff that I love that I thought people would enjoy.
Yeah.
But, you can't just stuff Lord Zed in there because, he was on the show 30 years ago and, 5 guys or girls or whatever, you're going to get a new audience. It doesn't work like that, man. You got to have a reason. You got to have you got to have a whole thing. And by the way, Zed doesn't work without Rita.
Thank you.
Especially now, yeah.
It's like Laurel without Hardy. It's like, it doesn't work, man. It's like Hall without Oates.
Yeah, like we 100% would have we would always be like, yeah, we would actually appreciate and respect it more. Actually, no, we would say this. We'd be on record being like I wish they kind of just stuck to their own guns and just had a little bit more faith within their own.
Yeah, man. Let it take it, own it.
Yeah,
make it yours. When we took over, we were like, all right, let's do something new. We're taking them back to the different clothes. We're taking them, making them, and let me tell you, when you put them in the same uniforms, you're instantly losing individuality, just visually. And it's Koichi and I have argued about this ad nauseum, and I love him, and he's brilliant and great. But that's the one thing we just never agreed on. And I think that fashion kids are obsessed with flipping fashion and what they're wearing and all this stuff, and that always was a fun part of it to me, was that they wore their color, but you didn't really know they were the public didn't know that was, it was like, it was cool.
I never really thought about that, but it's true because
that's true.
Obviously there's an iconic look for each Ranger. There's probably a costume you have in mind, but they did wear different things all the time. Like Zach was always dripped out. Jason always had different gis and different mixtures for it. Even Billy, I feel like that does play into just the relatability of all the characters.
Yeah.
Granted, it's I didn't mind them wearing the same things when they had if it was in space and they weren't in
space,
uniform.
there was a reason.
Yeah,
right?
they had a reason. Exactly. Yeah.
And but it's I never really thought about that. But to your point, when you go to the Neo Saban era, everything that started from Samurai Plus, it did try to for whatever reason in Megaforce they wore the same clothes every day.
Why?
I don't know why.
Well, I know why, because
but
certain people didn't want to pay, for $1 million for the season for wardrobe. It's they didn't want to have to pay for it, and it was a cost saving measure that Koichi supported because that was his tradition in the show from Japan. But he wanted that money savings, and he didn't care. He didn't have an opinion about whether it was better or worse that they wore the same clothes. He didn't give a flip. I mean, dude, as long as his trucking business was was working, and he was renting his trucks back to the production and making all his money, he didn't give a crap what was up there. And so I always thought, I was a firm believer in you gotta dress them, how they would dress, as kids, because if they're kids, they're not wearing, weird kind of paramilitary uniforms in their everyday life, unless they're on a spaceship, which that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I don't know who knows this or whatever, but that show would not have happened the way it did without Jackie, because Jackie was left when Ann and I got fired. Jackie was left in a pool of tears, having to work for, the new person. And I remember her telling me stories that were like, oh my God, are you kidding me? The first conversation she had with the guy was, I'm picturing the opening scene of being from the movie Love Story, and them walking along a beach and saying the same words that were in Love Story. And Jackie's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? You gotta get a fight in there somewhere. I mean, it was weird stuff. And what happened eventually was Jackie finally just started rewriting everything and never got the credit she deserved, never got a pat on the back, never got shit. She just always got kind of done dirty on that show. And it's not, at a certain point you're like, you got to stand up for yourself, but that wasn't her. She was an amazingly creative, wonderful, I don't know if you've ever met her or talked to her or anything, but she's like the find of the century. She was my assistant, and she turned out to be amazing. And they should have made her the executive producer, like I had said before, when Kalish left, but they just could not do it, and it sucks. But what are you going to do? But a lot of Power Rangers in Space is because Jackie made it happen, and she was behind a lot of that writing, because I know for a fact that those who are credited with that writing could not have done that writing because I read their writing for 4 years and I know. So there you go.
Well, definitely props to her because In Space has been my favorite season since it aired. So.
Me too. I mean, I think it's a great thing. And Jackie, her, if you don't know her, you don't know this, but her thumbprint is all over that show. That's not, who. It just isn't, because I know what you who writes like.
So like, I guess just for, to kind of go back into a little bit of some stuff in the book, but also like related to both Turbo and In Space, like at which point in were you there for, you weren't there for all of Turbo?
No. We were there for the first 12, maybe 13 episodes.
So still like a little bit before the power transfer and stuff happened.
And we had 3 scripts written, ready to shoot, and they threw them out. Just to be douchey.
Wow.
But whatever, who cares? I mean, it's like, now I look back, I'm like, who cares?
But I had 2 questions regarding that. And the first question was, because like I know you in the book you mentioned like on paper and just through seeing the actors and everything, Divatox didn't necessarily connect with you. And I know that there's 2 different types of Divatox, because the actress, like, she got pregnant, so during most of the show it was like a different kind of tone on Divatox, but then like later on towards the end, the original actress from the movie came back.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, and that was like, and it's funny because again, like as a kid, I had no idea, but then like as an adult, it's like, how did I not see this?
It makes no sense. Carol Hoyt was doing a great job.
Yeah,
she was fine. She was doing a great job, but they had to bring that other woman back. I don't, and a lot of it is probably a long distance FU to me and Ann and all that, but it's like, why, dude? Just leave it be. You don't change cast if you don't have to.
Right, exactly. And it was definitely weird. And it's like, it was kind of like interesting to hear you talk about it too, because like, again, like I was a child, like I was like 7 years old.
Yeah, what do you know?
But as an adult, like the even now, like I kind of like how out off the wall that character was. Like she was kind of like larger than life, but I also find it fascinating, like from a lore standpoint, that like of all the people to defeat the Power Rangers, like it was her. Like she won. You know what I mean? Like she beat them off the planet.
The first time you see her, she bumps her head on a pipe in her own submarine.
Oh yeah.
And then she plays with a rubber eel in a can.
Yeah.
And then she defeats the Power Rangers.
So like, how did you feel about that?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, because that was my thought when you were talking about. I was just like, I wonder how you felt about her being the one to beat the Power Rangers.
I mean, they defeated what was his name?
Malagor. No,
Malagor.
Yeah,
the lava spewing bad guy. They crushed him, and she goes on to defeat them. It's like, what?
It's crazy.
Yeah, but you know what, man?
I think but you know what though, like in like outside of all of that though, it did kind of add to the lore in like an interesting way, just because it was unexpected.
It's another weird turn of Power Rangers. It's another weirdness.
It was like a happy accident.
It's another weirdness of that show that people outside of it don't understand, but that's how it went, man. Someone made a decision at one end of the office, and by the time they walked to the other end of the office, it was already happening.
Yeah.
What about the whole like? Well, I guess this was also the power transfer, but like the Demetria aspect of it, where it's like I don't know if that was all play.
That was Shuki.
That was
Shuki
later.
wanted,
Yeah, that was later.
He wanted to do that. They wanted to get rid of Zordon, and so which big mistake. Alpha 6, big mistake, or whatever.
You're talking about Yo Alpha.
I'm talking about my cousin Alpha.
Yeah.
I gotta ask a question about that too.
My cousin.
I don't know if this is what you were getting at, JD, but have you heard the fan theories about how Demetria was actually her sister?
Yeah. That's what I like. I still feel like in my head that's the canon. I don't know if that's real.
I don't even know. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't know what. Okay. I don't know if there ever needed to be or was an explanation for that. I just know that it was Shuki and Shell's idea that she not give them answers, but ask them questions as the answers.
Wait, so I have something for that then.
Remember that?
Hold on, wait. Before you get to that, I just want to say one thing, because I always thought that was funny, if that was true. I don't know, I know you're on the writing block as well, but like, because we were talking about Lothar, and that was the other time where like the same actor played the villain and the mentor.
Yes. And
so I always thought that was interesting.
They ended up. Well, he became a hamster.
Yeah, he was a hamster, but the actual person.
Yeah. But
a hamster.
I mean, at least that was funny.
We're laughing about it.
Exactly.
And cute, and but her advising them by asking them questions was always a little weird to me.
It was
but hey, man, dude, they did what they did, and they were doing what they thought was right, I guess, and I was off doing Johnny Tsunami, so I didn't give a shit. I was happily gone from there, and then we were writing a pilot for Jason at Universal for a while that never got made. Should have got made, never got made. And then we went and did all those Disney movies, and it was like, we were off, we were gone, man. So it never really, after the initial punch to the gut, it never really, if I ever saw certain people again, I would probably, avoid them. But, I wouldn't go punch them in the face like I would have 20 years ago. I mean, just the scumbaggery of it all.
Yeah.
And then to scab during a strike. To scab the show during a strike and then to stay on as showrunner and become a WGA member, dude, that's some effed up stuff right there. I mean, you just don't do that. And, whatever. That's, you got to live with yourself, man.
Yeah.
You got to live with yourself. And, Jackie got screwed in that deal. And then, she needed a job and she called him up, I think, when they were over there and said, listen, I could use a job. Can you throw me a script or two? And he said, yeah, we're not looking for any scripts at this time. And it was like, dude, I wish I were in New Zealand right now, man. Yeah. I would hunt you down and leave you in a freaking pasture full of killer sheep. But anyway, so that's my rant.
All right. So
and I'm sticking to it.
No, you're good. So listen.
So let's try to wrap around, guys. What is it like? I gotta.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
We've been taking a lot of your time.
So no, dude, I'm into it. I'm just getting tired. I'm an old man.
No, it's all good.
Dude, I'm an old dude.
Well, listen.
I've been morphing a long time.
Yeah, you did mention though that you dropped like a bunch of nice droplets here. So, and at the beginning of this, you even mentioned that you're working on a second and a third book. So
yes, I am.
I mean,
the second book, is my adventures in New Zealand.
Okay.
When Disney took over the show and tried to turn it into Hannah Montana, and then. And threatened to fire Ann and I if we weren't funny. That was that was what made me leave the show, if I'm being honest. We got an email saying, if you can't make this kid funny, we'll find someone who can. And I showed it to Ann, and we were like, all right, F you, we're out of here.
The irony, considering what came after that was, like tonally, it was pretty consistent.
Yeah.
All the way through. And if anything, got more serious. But
So that was New Zealand is very interesting. There's a lot of really interesting stories. The way the Rangers were picked on that show is really fascinating. The people that I dealt with from Disney, it was really interesting because I had dealt with them on the movies, and protecting their brand with the movies, but now they were looking to me to protect a brand that they had just come into possession of. So it was very interesting. And New Zealand is a magical, weird place that is so awesome. And so that a lot of that's in there. And then the third book is, my kind of the last big show I did, which was DreamWorks Dragons, which was, trying to bridge to one of the greatest movies of all time, I think, is the original. The original How to Train Your Dragon is absolutely one of the best movies ever, the animated one. And the second movie, which was, okay. And
I love the second one.
I still need to see the second one.
I will tell you a funny story about the second one.
Okay.
Art and I got the script for the second movie while we were doing the first series. And in the script for the second movie, it says, Toothless blasts his X-ray, whatever, and kills Stoic. And we're like, what? Toothless kills Stoic? No way, dude. That's like Old Yeller killing Dad. You can't do that. So we went in the next day to our executive, and we go, dude, Toothless kills Stoic? Come on, man. You're not going to do that, really, are you? He goes, oh, yeah, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And we tried to talk him out of it for 2 years. And eventually they showed it. I think what happened was they were down to the last minute, and they didn't know if they were going to do it or not. But they ended up showing the movie to Steven Spielberg. And they said, Steven, should Toothless kill Stoic? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. It's it's gravitas. It's and there you go. I mean, Art and I were like, dude. but
it went dark. Like that. That whole franchise was pretty
went dark as hell, man. It was like,
which is funny when I could imagine, like, if you're doing a kids show, to have the movie, like the source material, it basically feels like an adult movie series by the end of it.
Yep.
So it is kind of like a weird balance to toe when you're doing this ongoing.
And Dean Dubois for just is a genius. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy is a bloody genius. He's one of the nicest human beings you will ever meet in your entire life. The director of Dragons. He was so kind to us, and we had dinner with him all the time and said, here's what we're doing. Is it cool? Are you all right with this? And he was always cool. And he deserves all the accolades. And I don't know did you see the live action version of Dragons?
Yeah, I did.
It's basically shot for shot the first movie, but it was really cool. It's like,
it's actually like one of my favorite live action adaptations, just because it did stay so true to it, but it also, it reminded me why I love the first movie so much. And I think that's the best sign that you could have. Like, it didn't make me it wasn't one of those things that I was like, oh, like I just want to watch the first one, or the original. But it's like, I can watch either or and be okay with it.
It had all of those moments from the first one. This moment where he puts his hand up to Toothless, and all those great moments. And it was much more real and much more gritty. And Astrid in the first one is this cute blonde, and that's not how it was in the live action one, although she was great.
Yeah.
It was different. It was very different. And my favorite voice actor of all time, TJ Miller, who played Tough Nut.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, those two literally were like the best to write for ever. They were so, and he would come in. Do you guys know TJ Miller?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he would come in and we'd say, okay, Teach, here's the script, man. Do whatever you want. And he would just improvise for like 4 hours and just crush it. And half the stuff in there, we didn't even write. It was just him, you know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's an amazing improvisational actor. And, you know, he's had his issues over the years. But I hope he comes back, man, because he's really funny. So anyway, so that's going to be the third book. And, you know, I hope your viewers enjoyed the first one and, you know, keep following and keep track of it, because the second one will probably be out before the end of the year, I'm hoping.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
More exclusives. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm definitely, especially after this conversation, I'm like super excited, because like that Disney era was like an interesting, like that. Yeah. We'll love to talk about that more. Like,
we'll reconvene here. Let's say that we will. Let's say that we will reconvene here in a year or whatever.
Yeah.
And discuss. Because it's pretty mind blowing, and we're going to do a Kickstarter for that too. Yep. So you know, I'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah,
you know, and just know that I appreciate you guys more than you will ever know, because you guys are my people. Mm-hmm. You know, it's you're the ones who get it. You're the ones who continue the legend and continue the greatness of Power Rangers, and you know, just know I appreciate it, and
yes,
we appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
for sure. Like that's what we're here for. It's like this brand, like, you know, in a lot of ways it influenced a lot of the things we do. Like Power Rangers was more than just like a show for a lot of us. Like it was a moral check. Like, even though it was an action show, like I was always like into the whole, like, to the messages that came along with it. Mm-hmm. But it also was like, it was like the catalyst for a lot of the, you know, anime we watch, or the TV shows, or the professions we get into. It's like,
that's fact. Like, the more I think about it, like a lot of the things that the things that I like come back to, like, oh man, I like stuff that's over the top. I like stuff that has some comedy. I like stuff that has like cool, like mechs. Like, I like stuff that's kind of like goofy, you know, but like, you know, like
we all play fighting games. Like one of the first fighting games I ever loved was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fighting game for Sega Genesis. Dude. And like we are like members of that community where we compete, and, you know, like we were like, you know, Tech, he's like a, you know, high level player in one of the Power Rangers fighting games that came out a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. That's how we all met.
He was so good. He stepped away. He's like, "No, I don't want top 8, bro." No. This is a real story. He was like, "I'm not doing this." He qualified for a big tournament, and he was like, "Nah, I don't want to do this. You guys are whack. I'm out."
Wow.
There's a whole story with that. But no.
We'll get into that next time. Yeah. But I'm gonna let's keep in touch, guys. Seriously, you've got my personal email. Nobody has that. You have that, and just keep in touch, man.
Yeah,
you know, keep me posted on what you guys are up to, and if there's anything I can do for you, anything, you know, I need, I'll reach out.
Yeah,
I will. If you ever want to do something again,
like
hop in. We're gonna start. Sorry, Uchi.
Sorry.
As soon we're probably gonna get into our tier list and stuff. If you ever want to hop in one of those,
tier
list with
that'd be fun.
That'd be fire too.
Yeah,
I'm in. Let's get some. If we can, the one thing I would ask is, you know, if we can get some more reviews up on Amazon.
Trust me. I was away when the order came out to do the reviews, but I'm gonna do the reviews because I've finished the book. So
that would be amazing, because that's sort of
viewers. If you have read the book,
and even if you thought it sucked, you know.
There's no way. I'm sorry. There's no way.
You know, I mean, it's just there's nothing offensive or weird or like this thing sucks about it. I don't think. And no one said it yet. I mean, there's a bunch of typos at one time, but that's about it. But anyway, you know, just if you liked it, leave a couple stars or 5 stars or 4 stars or whatever. And I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Just know
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I just want to say, like,
thank you.
Reading this was like, it was super refreshing. I love the humor, the humility,
Awesome.
obviously the stories. I love autobiographies, like, in general. So like reading this was like super cool to see the inside look. Like I love the way, like, you talked about like some of the inside stuff, like the way you got shot episodes. Like I knew none of that. Or like even like some of the basic stuff you talked about, how like when you first started coaching JDF, and like how you talked about like the principles of acting and all that, and like stuff like that I love. So like reading this, honestly, it's already up there with some of my favorite books I've ever read,
dude,
to be honest.
That makes me so happy. If I can impart on you guys or anybody some of the greatest teachers that the two greatest teachers I ever had were my acting teacher and my guitar teacher. And those guys changed my life. I mean, teachers change your lives.
That's true.
And Randy, my guitar teacher, changed my life. And he's, he got killed in a plane crash when he was 26, which is like, when does that happen? But he changed my life. My acting teacher, Howard Fine, changed my life. And teachers do it, man. So if I can contribute to anyone's, future or whatever, I'm in. Well, all right, boys, can we, are we good?
No, we're good. I was just going to say, last thing before we do the outro is that we're not going to hit you up and be like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? But I would definitely love to open the doors to you, because I legit have at least 2 pages worth of questions that we could dive more into the book. Because you say you want more reviews. I'm all about helping you out. And that's like our best way to give back, like to the person who, was a part of changing our lives, like for like in a positive way. So
absolutely. Man, let's keep in touch, and we'll find good times to reconvene.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
All right.
Sweet.
Cool, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
All right, you guys. Love you all. You guys are the best.
All right, that'll wrap it up for this episode of Power Rangers Academia. Make sure you're following all of the socials in the description. Check out the book. Check out Doug. Check out us. And love what you love. And we'll see y'all next time.
See you guys.
Later.